supportive event to break the cycle of homelessness and achieve long-term stability. Your participation directly contributes to these transformative outcomes. For details, visit seeyouathome.us.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Notre Dame.
You're going to save all the houses, but you could have saved more. So you talk to the people in and around Pacific Palisades, and they are angry at the response.
Fox's Trace Gallagher. LA Mayor Karen Bass facing questions about the fire response and fire department budget cuts is promising an evaluation.
To look at what worked, what didn't work, and to correct or to hold accountable any body, department, individual, etc. But my focus right now is on the lives and on the homes.
Fire crews have been able to make some progress as hurricane-force winds diminish, but nearly 200,000 people were still under evacuation orders today. In the U.S. Senate just a short time ago,
on this vote, the yeas are 84 and the nays are 9.
That broke a filibuster on the Laken-Riley Act, which would require Immigration and Customs Enforcement to detain illegal immigrants arrested for theft and burglary, named after the Georgia nursing student murdered by a man who entered the U.S. illegally and is now imprisoned for life.
A swath of conservative Democrats jumped on board to back the plan. That included Pennsylvania Democrat John Fetterman and freshman Democrat Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan. Both represent swing states.
Fox's Chad Pergram on the Hill. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer supporting today's vote to allow debate and possible amendments. America is listening to Fox News.
So this new dose is... nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The nation says goodbye to the 39th president.
President Biden delivered a eulogy at the funeral for former President Jimmy Carter at the Washington National Cathedral, attended by every living man to hold the office. But Carter's grandson, Jason Carter, says his grandfather was influenced his whole life by the small town where he grew up.
Yes, they spent 4 years in the governor's mansion and 4 years at the White House, but the other 92 years... they spent at home in Plains, Georgia.
Carter died on December 29th at the age of 100. He was the longest living ex-president in U.S. history. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Wall Street was closed today on a national day of mourning for former President Carter. Russian officials say they're paying attention to what the president-elect is saying.
President Trump said it again this week when asked about trying to acquire Greenland. He said he would not promise that he wouldn't use military coercion when it came to the Panama Canal or Greenland.
We need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world.
President Putin's press secretary, Dmitry Peskov, said the Arctic is a zone of their national interests and that they are watching what he called the rather dramatic developments of the situation closely, but so far, thank God, only at the level of statements, he said.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal, the Putin spokesman, also mocking Europe's reaction to the Trump comments as almost a whisper. U.S. mortgage rates inching up for a fourth straight week. The average 30-year fixed rate from mortgage giant Freddie Mac hitting 6.93% at a time when the median home price is also rising steadily. The government's report on December home sales is due out later this month. Tomorrow, we get the December jobs report. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Just as we all expected. Hey, what's up? It's The Drive with Tay and Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Lante, Illinois basketball, dealing with, number one, a thorn in your side that's Penn State, who had won 4 in a row against you. Just that team that seems to bother you, seems to have your number. And then, surprisingly, a development, Derek Burson gathers all media around about an hour or so before tip-off and says, we got some news, I'll say it once. Kasper Giacochonis is out tonight due to a left forearm issue. He tried to go in warm-ups. He was not listed on the injury report. And all of a sudden, the projected number 3 overall pick on The Athletic in the upcoming NBA draft is not available to Illinois. Their leading scorer, their leading assist man. Penn State's a disruptive defense. They turn you over a bunch. So,
Yeah, those soft international guys.
I know, yeah, soft tissue. I don't know. And then Illinois wins by 39.
Yeah, I mean just tell me it makes sense.
Okay.
That was unbelievable. It was jaw-dropping. I mean, it was similar to the Oregon game where everything was just clicking, but yet it wasn't in a weird way. And without Kasparis, it's like, okay, how's this going to work? But how nice is it to have Kylan and just be able to not miss a beat, essentially? And, of course, Ace Baldwin, do what you want with it, whether or not he flopped and hurt himself or actually hurt himself, whatever the case. He had 3 turnovers, no points, and he's like, I think I'm done for the evening. I don't blame you, Ace. So if
we're doing load management nights, yep, I'll be part of that.
It was my turn, right? Yeah, okay, I'll sit the second half out on this one. But yeah, it was just it was weird, and it was one of those moments, Derek, where, and I think from watching and looking at Twitter, when we had that moment against Wake Forest back in 04-05, it was a moment where you sat there and I remember right where I was in Villa Grove at my house. I had a chance to go to the game that night and politely declined for some stupid reason, and it's like the game of the century for Illinois. But that night, I can recall just sitting there, and after that game ended, I'm like, we might be the best team in the country. I mean, you just don't do that to a number 1 ranked team. Now, I know Penn State isn't even ranked. But the idea
that had been profiling as like a bubble team, a team that has a chance to make an NCAA tournament.
But after you did it against 9th-ranked Oregon, and then you turn around 2 games later, and you do it against an arch nemesis who has just had your number, I don't know. I went to bed last night. I was texting with my boys, and I'm like, I want to hear the post game, but I'm tired. I'm just going to go to bed. And I laid in bed for a second, and I'm like, how good are we? Yeah. How good is this team? Yeah. And with the idea that I don't I don't have this notion that you throw KJ back in the mix and it messes things up. Not at all. I mean, the fact that you have the number, like you said, 3 pick in the NBA draft sitting on the sideline, and you go out and just do what you did, and they looked so comfortable doing it. It was crazy. Merez showed his stuff. I mean, again, Derek, every night it's just somebody different that just kind of has their night. We've now gotten used to the fact that when Benham Rickhouse, we joked yesterday, if that guy hits a 3 in the first 3 minutes of the game, you might as well just sit back with a couple beers and relax because it's going to be a good night. And he was ridiculously good in that first half, especially. So I don't know. I can't imagine what that was like watching that.
It was pretty unbelievable. I think you used jaw dropping as a really
in person.
Perfect way to say what it ultimately was. And early on, I mean, the first opening minutes where Illinois has a couple of turnovers and Penn State gets out to, not like it was a big lead, but, there was, 10-4 or something like that. And like, okay, this is going to be tough throughout the rest of the night. And all of a sudden, then Illinois gets hot. Benham Rickhouse hits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threes in the first half. Does a little booty ball action, too. Actually, rebounds. He had 8 rebounds before halftime. And the defense continues to show that they are a legit shut you down type of unit. They're now 6th in the country in defensive efficiency on Ken Pom. That's pretty unbelievable. And Trey White just by the way, another 20-point night for Trey White, and does his thing on the glass.
I saw your tweet on that. It's like, wow.
Goes to the basket. He's shooting 90% from the free throw line over the last month. And it's big time stuff. And you mentioned there too with Merez, and that's where teams are having such a hard time scoring at the basket against Illinois. You see that size with Merez and Tommy, and Ben has helped out in that regard as well. Kylan on the perimeter with DGL factoring in there. Trey has taken strides as well. So my big takeaway is maybe I should just get rid of the word maybe and say it's time to put the process behind us.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to just accept the fact that this is one of the best teams in the Big Ten. This is a legit, bona fide Big Ten title contender. Fans should start to consider the fact this team could chase a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, chase at least a top 4 seed, and feel like they can have a really nice path. Not only to like a ceiling to be like, if we're playing our best basketball, we'll be a tough out. We can go deep in the tournament, but to be like thought to where the field is set up for you to do that, which is very, very key to actually going on a deep run, is putting yourself in a position to where you're playing a 13 seed in the first round and then maybe a 5 and dodging that 1 for a while and whatnot. And how, when you get that number 1 seed and all that, those type of things. So that's where I'm at with this team. And last year they beat Northwestern without Terrence Shannon by 30. And that was another one like, oh my gosh. And that's not to say, and of course, Terrence, his situation was so unique and challenging for that team. It's hard to like kind of say it's apples to apples with KJ, because KJ could be back on Saturday.
Absolutely.
I don't think you got to rush it with USC, but anyways, that doesn't mean that we knew last year's team was really good. It doesn't mean it's going to be a cruise to the finish line. It doesn't mean it's going to be there's no bumps, there's no flaws. They're just going to beat everybody and run the table type of thing. I know nobody's thinking that, but it is like now we just think of them as a normal big time contender versus a team that we know where they can get, but it will take the up and down and still seeing the finish line. I think now maybe you just treat them as a squad that's picking up steam and has a lot figured out.
I don't know that people don't think they can run the table. I mean, I'm serious. I on Twitter, and again, what I mean by that is it's the fan base that I'm watching, a lot of the fan base, and I saw more than a handful of, is this the best team we've ever had? One of those. And I'm like, well, it's pretty early to determine that. And a lot of people answered correctly saying, well, we'll figure that out in March, which is true because it's really based on that, although you know that I enjoy the regular season success as much. I love vying for a Big Ten title and winning one. But it's funny that a day after you asked about the process, and now I think we got our answer, or at least 2 days. Was it yesterday that we talked about that? I mean, now we have our answer because this team is a team that I have utmost confidence when they start a game that they're not going to lose. I have utmost confidence they'll go to Indiana and win. I mean, and maybe that's scary. That's terrifying maybe to feel like that. Michigan State, I mean, that's going to be a heck of a little 2-game battle right there. But it's funny with regards to what they've done against Oregon and then what they did against Penn State. I still hang my hat on that Washington game and the idea that they won a tough game. Because if you're going to rip through 6 games in the NCAA tournament, you're going to at least have one. You're not going to be UConn winning by 20 every game. You're going to have a game that is nerve-wracking. Guys have to make plays down the stretch. And so I want to see more of that a little bit in a weird way. I mean, I know I'd take a 20-point win every night, but the fact that you clawed yourself to victory against Missouri, you clawed yourself to victory against Washington, and then, oh, by the way, the other 2 games with Oregon and Penn State, you just literally had a laugher. I just kind of shows you right now that these guys know how to win. They can win big if certain elements occur. And it's just amazing to me, again, how everybody just comes off the bench. Even Jake comes in.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Derek, in a weird way, and I texted my boys this, I'm like, in a weird way, our offense flows better when he's in because he never stops. If you ever watch him, he literally never stops. He's just running around. Even when he takes the ball out of bounds, he's doing it on a run. And I'm like, boy, I hope a defender doesn't ever come down because he's going to be stuck in bad land there. But he literally is just always moving, and it just feels like it's a free flow, the kind of offense that Brad Underwood wants to play.
Yeah, Jake's like a fluid dancer. Like, how does he just transitions from one move into the next, and like there's just a smoothness about it, and the hair's going. And he's got it going on for sure.
He's loving life.
Oh yeah, he should be.
He's loving. He's like, I'm on a great team, and I get to contribute on occasion, and when I do, I'm going to go out and give it my all, and I'm going to have fun doing it and smile doing it. I mean, he's got to be the happiest guy on campus right now.
For sure.
He's just loving it.
I think it's showing you some of the vision in the offseason. Like, the Jake Davis edition makes sense.
Amen.
In terms of a guy that is happy in that role. Not to say that as the years go on, he won't try to play himself into bigger opportunities and maybe more chances to be a primary 3-point shooter or whatever it might be. But you get him as a sophomore from Mercer, and now he's somebody that is part of the winning formula.
Right.
And he seems like a very selfless, play hard dude, and DGL to stick around and what he's come into. Obviously, that was the vision for Ben Humreckhouse coming in. Like, he's going to be a dead-eye shooter. He's going to be a guy that can take over a stretch of a game and battle enough defensively.
Right.
And he's doing that to his credit. He's played tougher. He's walled up. He hasn't fouled. Teams have gone at him. I worried last night. You get Nick Kern. You get some of those other kind of athletic wings that Penn State has. Maybe they go by him. Maybe they get some action to the rim that bothers him. And he's just been able to take on the challenge and know that he's gotten beat a number of times earlier in the season. And he's still there fighting and showing up. And now he looks more comfortable because it looks more like the Evansville version.
Yeah.
Where he gets a switch on Ace Baldwin in the first half, just backs him down like Marcus Damask would.
I love it.
Hits a little like turnaround jumper. And Trey White has obviously found his form, and that's another guy. Like, do you want somebody from Louisville? Do you want a guy that took a lot of shots and had maybe some bad shot selection and some overlap with Ty and all that? Now you see the vision there. So, like, this is coming into form for Brad's team, and I love the vibes about them. I think they mesh well. They have a good just overall identity and fight for one another, and they just the arrow shows no signs of the downturn. It just keeps pointing up.
And there will be, right?
For sure.
You feel like there's going to be.
You mentioned it next week is really challenging. Going
Big
to
time.
Bloomington, going to East Lansing, even if Illinois is the better team out of those two, like going into those buildings is no joke.
Not at all. Zach mentioned it. He's like, I think Illinois was down 11-5, went on a 34-4 run. It was amazing. And the other thing, Derek, with me is that it doesn't necessarily matter who's on the court. It flows. Like, he'll make a substitution. Like, at one point, Trey White was just on fire, and all of a sudden he brings him to the bench, and I think he already had a guy waiting, and Illinois, or the game just got extended, and Trey scored like twice, and I made to myself, I'm watching it by myself, I was like, well, wonder why he's taking Trey out now, but then they just kept flowing, they just kept scoring, and it honestly doesn't seem like it matters who you've got on the court. Everybody just works. And I know a 217 said the ball was hopping last night. These guys share the ball so well. Yep. But you said it. This is the last time I'll say this. But that day that Kyle and I were in here after Illinois gave up 100 to Alabama, you were on your way back, and we had serious questions about this defense. And we had talked even going into that Alabama game, Derek, about how you had said last year's team really wasn't that great defensively. Didn't they rank out like 60th in the country?
Yeah.
So you looked at that and you thought to yourself, okay, this team probably needs to be a little bit better defensively because I don't know that they have the kind of offensive efficiency that last year's team has. Now all of a sudden in 2 games we're like, well, maybe they do. But yet the defense the switch that these guys have made, and I want to give the coaching staff credit for this. I don't know what they're identifying. Isn't it Hamer that is big on the defensive side of that? And I know everybody, Antigua, et cetera. But
he's essentially the defensive coordinator as Tyler is the offensive coordinator.
Okay, gotcha. Yep. So I don't want to say switch, but the improvement that they've made since Alabama. Now, I'm not saying you could play Alabama tomorrow and they wouldn't throw up 80 against you or so. I don't think they're getting 100. That's for sure. But the improvement that they've made from that game to now, where it's a suffocating defense. Who was the guy that did the color? I like him a lot. He used to play at Northwestern. Sean even mentioned on one trip down, he's like, this Illinois defense, the way they can switch and the way and as soon as he said that, some guy from Penn State beat his man, and then I think it was Avicic in the middle, just shifted right over to him and forced him to have a bad shot that Illinois then got the rebound and went the other way. And it was like on cue with Sean saying that. And it's true. I mean, from Kylan out at half court, I know KJ isn't maybe the best defender, but he can rattle you.
Not bad.
Not at all. And at 6'6", he can go down and guard like he did against Washington. He was guarding that bespeckled dude for a while. I'm just like, well, why is he on that guy? But it worked. So, I mean, as much as I love this offense, and we love offense because that's the side that we feel like we know the best, this defense is ridiculous. Penn State could not score. And the other thing that we don't take for granted because you see the stats. There is one shot, and that's it. Illinois has got the rebound, and we're going the other way. And I'm sorry, Derek, you know my affinity for rebounding. When that happens and a team gets one contested shot, this isn't an easy shot, they get one contested shot down the court each time, and then you're not getting anything else, you're going to win a lot of games. And that's what Illinois is doing. Right now, this coaching staff, and I give the players, don't get me wrong, a lot of credit too, but this coaching staff since that Alabama game has implemented something that has been lights out since. And, man, this is a fun Illinois team. And it does indeed give you that idea of dreaming a little bit to say, what kind of team is this ultimately in the history of Illinois? Where is this team going to fall? Because, man, right now they're scary good. Scary good.
No doubt. You see last night they're plus 25 on the glass.
Is that right?
They're third in the country right now. I said yesterday they were third in the country in rebounding margin. They're third in defensive rebounding rate, so just not giving you those second chances. It's one shot and out.
That's it.
For sure. And they're doing a really good job of forcing you into the shots that they want you to take.
Right.
Mike Rhodes mentioned that last night, and that they kind of baited us into taking the tough twos. They give the 7-footer from Northern Illinois open threes, and he's like, yeah, I guess I'll take them. I'm wide open. And he keeps bricking them, and they've done a good job game planning-wise of here's who we want to key on, try to take away. Of course, Kylan is drawing the primary assignment in a lot of those. But just in general, like these are not quality three-point shooters. We'll help off of them and encourage them to shoot, and the numbers game usually plays it out. Those go in your direction. We'll press up on the perimeter with our defenders on the outside, knowing we got rim protection on the back end. That's the huge difference between this year and last year,
right,
is not having that size at the rim. Coleman just couldn't do it at 6'10", even though 6'10" is 6'10", but it's a different level of athleticism between Merez's 6'10" and strength versus Coleman. That's no knock on Coleman, who played a great value last year as well. Tommy at 7'1", Ben at 6'9" as a four-man, and Dre cleaning some stuff up.
Oh my
goodness. His athleticism continues to pop game in and game out. So that's where you see just the athletic profile of this team. And that's where it's funny to think back to Alabama, and even before that, Ole Miss, or just kind of as we've formulated our thoughts on this squad, it was, okay, when they're on, they'll be as tough as anybody to stop because they'll rain threes on you. They're playing the math game. They're doing all this stuff on offense to where they'll shoot maybe 43s in a night and make 16, and KJ will be sensational as a playmaker, and they'll get enough stops. Like they might beat you 98 to 85. And now it's where we've seen the high points of the offense where they can still do some of that to you, but defensively they're making you struggle to score 65 in a lot of cases, or in the 70s where they are a top 10 defense. So this team's tougher than I thought they'd be. They're much better defensively as a whole. Individually, a lot of guys have stepped up in that. Kylan, I give a lot of the credit as, he could be a really good on-ball defender to where, is he the best in the Big Ten? I mean,
country. I don't know. I mean, you look at that Sears game.
Yeah.
0 points.
That's right. Baldwin was 0 for 6 with 3 turnovers. You can go on down the list.
I don't watch basketball as much as you. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say he's the best defender in the country, but if he's not one of the best in the Big Ten, then I want to see the other 5.
Right.
It's never a story. Like, whoever he's guarding, you don't even notice. Honestly. You don't even literally, at the end of the game, you're just like, I guess Kylan probably played pretty good D, and then you look at the stats. I guess he did. The guy scored 2. I mean, that's the thing about him, is that his guy doesn't even attempt. His guy is just like, you're 4 on 5, essentially, because Kylan's taken that kid all the way out. And normally guarding one of the better, I mean, we know how important a guard, look at Illinois. How important is Kylan and KJ to this offense? So when the other team has a guard that is maybe not equal, obviously, to KJ, but
as important.
As important. That's a great way to say it. And Ace certainly is to that team. And I understand the injury. I'm not going to make fun of it. I'm sure. Listen, I've hurt my back before, and you can't do anything. So whether or not that was the case, but the point is that he just takes guys out to where you don't even notice that guy during a game because that guy doesn't want anything to do with him. And it's like, all right, you guys are going to have to go 4 on 4 here, and because I'm just getting rid of this ball and getting this guy off me. It is fun to watch this team play, and man, it's hard not to.
I know.
It's hard, man.
It's cool to be able to look at a scouting report, look at another team's stats, and be like, all right, you got a stamp that says off night. And we're like, all right,
boom.
Wherever we put Kylan, that's boom, off night.
Done.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
And
when you look at teams coming up, now USC I'm not familiar with. I don't think it'll be a problem with USC. Didn't they just lose a guy for the year?
I'm not sure.
I was thinking. Anyway, I'm not worried. But you go to like an Indiana team with who's their point guard,
Miles Rice. Who has struggled to play up to expectations. Ballo's been their best player recently.
That's a shock that an Indiana guard came in and has struggled to play up the expectations. Is this like the 8th Indiana guard in a row to do this? This is weird how that's developing over there. But
save for Jalen Hood-Schifino, who was awesome.
That's true.
But they had Christian Lander, who 5-star to transfers to Western Kentucky, and even Romeo Langford's freshman year was like
wasn't much.
He's supposed to be this.
Now, he did have 6 assists last night. He tied Galloway for the lead in assists, so he still got some stuff done. But Ballo, you're right. That Ballo or whatever, that'll be an interesting matchup when you have just a really effective, like you said yesterday, kind of a Kofi-esque big on how Ivisic and the guys handle him. Now, I would assume Merez could play a part in that with his strength to be there. But, man, is Merez just an animal?
He is. Yeah, looked like a grown man out there. It was. He's different, obviously, but it kind of looked like a Kofi game, like a freshman Kofi game, where you don't have someone as strong and just physically dominant as he is, and he's just obviously very athletic on the glass. Kofi was more just kind of brute strength, obviously, than the jump that Merez gets off the floor, but.
And with this team, the way they play, it's perfect for Merez.
Sure.
Right? He doesn't have to post up necessarily.
Exactly.
It's more transition. It's more even half court. This is going to sound stupid. The way the offense flows, it's almost like half court transition in the sense that every time Merez caught the ball, now he made some nice moves. There were a couple pump fakes.
Couple jump stops
that he did. But a lot of times he's just getting fed the ball and just going up and dunking it or doing his thing. So, and listen, he's there. He's in the right spot. He's hustling down the court to get in that position. So I just think he's like the perfect – I don't know. There's a lot of – just stop, Lon. I was about ready to say there's a lot of perfect on this team. But there's a lot of just everything you'd kind of want on this team. The idea that you have 2 guards that could lead you any night. And what I mean by lead is not necessarily scoring. It's just lead the offense. You have 2 of them. So how nice is that? To the spoilers or whatever the term is, you've got that. You've got an elite shooter in Ben Rickhouse who really, when he gets going, I know Brad said in the postgame he's waiting for like 20 in a row. And I was like, okay, now hold on a second, Brad. Or I don't even know exactly. I don't know what number he got up to, but he was like, I'm expecting a game like that. But you've got an elite shooter with him. You've got that kind of gritty, do everything kind of guy in Trey White that can also double basically every night. You've got Ivisic, who is kind of right now hidden the last 3 or 4 games in terms of he hasn't really had to do a lot, but he's still impactful on both ends, and I think even more so defensively than we think.
Big time.
He can pass the ball unbelievable. So I don't know what that means to other teams when they're scouting Illinois. I don't know how much pressure that puts on teams to say, all right, we got to get in Tommy's grill because he can hit the 10-footer. Oh, wait, he can go out and hit a 3. Oh, and by the way, he's like Pete Maravich. He can pass the ball like John Stockton. So it's like, good luck. Do your job out there against him. And then I know I'm forgetting guys. I mean, even Will Riley came in and had, 6 assists? So
6 rebounds, too.
And what I liked about it is he didn't feel like – he wasn't forcing it. And so that's good because a guy like Will, who came in with such notoriety and has really struggled, I could see a game like that where he'd say, well, I'm gonna pop this shot up every time down the court. But he wasn't. He was playing in the flow, which was incredible. Who am I missing?
Wasn't until the last. He ended up taking 11 shots, but he took 5 of them in the final 5.
Did he take 11? Oh, that's right.
Final 5
that's right.
minutes, and it's a 30-point game.
Yeah.
Like, Will, just try to go find your rhythm, man.
Right.
And he made a 3 in the final minute, but 6 assists, 1 turnover, and 6 rebounds. I said yesterday I wanted to see him with a lot more activity on the glass, and he gave you that too.
And he gave you that. And then you look at the bench, and what you're bringing off the bench and a guy like Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn who comes in and has the confidence of any starter. Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, I guarantee you right now, would tell you he's the best point guard on that team. He would flat out tell you that, and I love that. I don't know that he actually would, but I bet if you ask Trey man-to-man, are you better than KJ and Kylan leading this team? He'd be like, heck yeah, give me the chance. Let me show you.
Right.
And he did against Washington, right? Or against Oregon, I'm sorry, when he just flat out took over, he and Jake. But then you've got Jake who's
to
just
not
kinda,
backing down from anybody.
Oh,
that's
my.
in him. You love that for sure.
I mean, he is as confident as any player on that court, Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn. It's just you go, and I'm sure I missed somebody in there. I didn't even say KJ, who, oh, by the way, is a top 5 probably pick in the NBA.
He's decent.
He's solid.
Decent player.
I mean, you literally almost have everything you would want, right, to battle against the better teams like the Auburn of the world. I mean, you have the ability to slow it if you need, although they're not going to. You can bring Merez in for strength. Tommy gives you height. Ben can hit shots, and he's improving defensively. I don't know. There's going to be an egg, I would assume, laid at some point. But right now, I'm loving it. I'm loving this team.
Just ride the wave, right?
Let's
Why
just
wouldn't
ride
you?
it. And take care of USC, and let's get ready for an impactful, really kind of see where you're at kind of team next week with Indiana and Michigan State on the road. You talk about a great test. I mean, you talk about the process, Derek, and we keep saying, when does this team really gel? Well, obviously they're gelling. So then but then you look at it and say, okay, is that any tougher than going to Oregon? I mean,
yeah, right.
You know, I mean,
crowd-wise, I think.
Yeah, Bloomington for sure. And East Lansing. Yeah, who am I kidding?
With the students back, the Izzone back and going.
Yeah. Those are two. I mean, that's going to be a great week. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for next week to say, let's see how good you really are. Because right now, I think you're great.
No doubt. Ken Palm says you are, which I know you checked this morning. But
absolutely.
You look, Illinois currently 7th in the country on Ken Palm. Let's just do this just to kind of put in perspective the group that you're in. From 1 on down, Duke, Auburn, Houston, Iowa State, Florida, Tennessee, Illinois, Alabama. That's the top 8.
That's pretty impressive. You're right there with all those teams. And what's amazing is you played Alabama. You're going to play Duke.
You played Tennessee.
Go Tennessee, which I'd love to play that again. Yeah. This is a 2-3 seed in the NCAA tournament, and with the chance to get maybe a 4 if you stumble, or a 1 if you keep playing like this.
That's unbelievable.
And then just have some fun. Ride it to the Final Four and then take your chances. I know Lucas last night or 2 nights ago was already like, I assume we're going to get in the Auburn region. You know, it's coming off the UConn.
I get it.
The Tays are so reactionary to everything, and it's always a negative. So it's like, oh, we had UConn last year. I assume they're going to throw us in Auburn, but I don't know. Let's go. I mean, how fun is that Duke game going to be?
Oh, that's going to be a huge game. Huge game.
Because I'm confident that you can stop another guard, right? Like Sears, Ace last night. I'm confident that you can do that. But Missouri showed you that a good wing, and I can't recall his name, who was
Mark
at Duke.
Mitchell?
Yeah, Mark Mitchell.
Yep.
He showed then, and I know Ben was still in that real funk that he was in, but Mitchell dominated you. And Cooper Flagg is better than Mitchell.
I would say.
So I mean, that will be, and you know, you talk about a true test of, is Illinois worthy of battling for a Final Four? That Duke game alone might show you that. And then is Michigan really this good?
Yeah, man. Illinois and Michigan, as of right now, forecasted as the favorites in the Big Ten.
And they only play once.
They only play once in Ann Arbor late in the year.
Boy, is Michigan just full of breaks lately? I mean, if it's not Kevin Warren, then it's the idea that, well, we're only going to play once, and you have to go to Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
That's all right. That place doesn't scare me.
At least they can say Kevin Warren didn't have anything to do with this.
Right.
He's too busy interviewing everyone in America for the Bears job on Zoom, because that's a good idea. First round of interviews will be all virtual.
Is that right?
We'll get a lot out of that. Yeah, Diana Rossini reported that.
I'm sorry, Derek.
Yeah, no.
I mean, listen,
why would you do things normal?
Right.
Like other franchises.
I show compassion, but the Cardinals have never won a title.
Yeah.
1947. So you and I could sit. We're on the Titanic. We're literally the last guys on the Titanic saying, no, you go ahead and take that on that boat. Nah, you go. You look younger than me. You go enjoy your life. I'm going to sit here with the choir or the whatever they were with the band. I'm going to sit here and Derek and I are going to talk about the Bears and Cardinals until we're just finally underwater.
Man. I know the story. It's funny.
Is there a beer, though, I can have before I go down?
Oh, it's the same price as airport beers. That's all right. I saved for this.
Bring 2 of them.
Let's get it going. 217-359-2255. It's fun to do shows after games like that, and a lot to break down and to dream about. And that's one question I'll pitch out to the text line. How far are you allowing yourself to go in terms of the hopes for this team? Or are you is it Big Ten title or bust? Is it Final Four or bust for this team ultimately? Are you starting to look into some San Antonio stuff? Should you be? I'm interested in the pulse out there right now on this Illini team after a 39-point win to extend the winning streak to 5 to what's the right way to put it in terms of exercising some demons? Yeah. The Nittany Lions in a big way.
I saw one guy tweet last night. It's just that Northwestern game.
I know.
It's like Minnesota in football, right? It's like we can't ever get over. I think the win at Oregon, that erases the Northwestern loss, right? Because a lot of teams are going to go to Oregon to lose.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I know it's an imbalanced schedule now, so that isn't always the case, but I feel like you got one back. Like if you lost one at Northwestern, you got one back at Oregon in a big way. I'd be anxious to know what I want to ask you. Dana Altman kind of came out with a statement. I don't know if you heard this or saw this.
I don't think so.
About how Oregon played against Illinois, and then he's like, I mean, they're good, but they're not that good. That's basically what he said. I'd love to know what Mike Rhodes says. Heck, even the sports information directors, they're probably like fired up about this team for other teams.
They might be.
I mean,
they might be.
Probably should talk to that. So, I mean, it's just one of those where it's I'm just anxious to hear what they're saying in these press conferences from you and
for sure,
and see how things are going with it. Because I have to imagine Rhodes last night was just shaking his head going, this team is playing without KJ and they're doing this to us. That's disgusting.
I felt kind of bad for Mike Rhodes because I know Kyle
seems like a cool guy.
He does.
Yeah.
And I think they made a really good hire there. He seems like he's done a good job to this point. And Big Ten Network requested that he go to the press conference so they could air it on TV, but there were no Penn State reporters there.
Oh, no.
So he got 3 Illinois-generated questions, essentially, and that was that. So we kind of felt bad for him. There was kind of the word like, hey, can you not make it awkward? And like someone raise your hand and ask him a question. Now, one of them was on Ace Baldwin. I think I asked him about Trey White. And there was another, I think, a defensive question as well. And he sung the praises of Illinois' defense.
That's cool.
For sure, as well as Trey, too.
He seems like a good guy. I mean, he seems like the kind of guy I'd play for.
Yep.
For sure. I mean, some guys are kind of geeky.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the guy for Rutgers.
Peichel.
Yeah, he seems a little like, I don't know if I'm going to play for you.
Or too arrogant.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have, like, they were chanting, the crush wasn't there, so the people sitting in their seats, it was 30-point game in the middle of the second half or whatever, and said, warm up the bus, coach, and he turns around and shakes his head. Yep, let's do it.
I'm ready.
And I appreciate that. Like,
I do, too.
You gotta,
Well, I mean, it's cold out.
No doubt.
He wants that thing warm.
Get the hell out of
here.
here.
He's like, let's make this, not make it even worse. We're sitting this cold for a while, but yeah, bless his heart. Well, hey, boy, good luck coming into State Farm Center this year if you're whomever.
For sure.
That was fun. Hey, Kyle is yelling at us right now.
He is. But we'll get to your text. We've had plenty of them. 217-359-2255, Max Twin City Recycling text line. We'll talk a little bit of college football playoff, too. You got the start of the semifinals
I didn't realize that
tonight.
Till today.
Penn State, Notre Dame, and then tomorrow, Ohio State, Texas. We'll have to shoehorn in a little bit of discussion on that as well. So a lot still to do. We'll be back. This is The Drive.
Take charge of the years ahead with a smart, sound investment strategy and business succession plan. Busey Bank's business and wealth management experts help you envision your best future with powerful insights and proven strategies. Building business and growing wealth since 1868, Busey Bank, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Well, let's ask you about Gale Frericks Trucking. What's happening to start 2025, sir?
Well, it's been busy. Of course, we have the weather challenges, but we're getting through all of that. Our drivers have been safe, and they're all professionals. We go into this time of year, and it's a lot like college football. This is the year that things change a lot, and we had to make a couple of adjustments to make our team stronger. And, you know, it's funny when you talk about those things, somebody knows that you're talking about him, so he made that decision easy. And then we had a guy enter the transfer portal. A good driver. He wanted something different, so he went to a team in Texas to work for us. So
well, you've got a good bunch of guys, and you treat them like family, and they're home on the weekends, and that's what's made you so successful, Tim, no question. Listen, thank you, Tim Onstott. You're the man. How can people connect with you?
They can get me at timo@gftlogged.com. My office number is 765-793-7131.
Sarah Champagne's Ben Quattrone on keeping his employees.
It's got to be the place to work. We have to pay the best. We have to treat people the best. Some of the guys wanted to order pizza the other day. Well, we bought 30 Papa Del's pizzas. BMW had the best month they've ever had. They said, can we have a cookout? Saturday, I cooked like 50 ribeye steaks. And they were expecting like cheese, burgers and hot dogs and stuff. Like, if I'm eating steak, you're eating steak. We both eat steak, we both eat hamburger.
Learn more at sarahchampagne.com.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Not every remodel project is as easy as the couple on the Home Improvement Channel make it look. From old furniture to construction debris, a home remodel can quickly turn into a junk pile. 2 Men and a Junk Truck is here to make your home improvement dreams a reality. They offer hassle-free junk removal and dumpster rentals to clear the way for your next big project.
Perfect.
Use code REMODEL25 to save $25 on your next service. 2 Men and a Junk Truck, making your home improvement journey a breeze. Visit 2menindajuncktruck.com. Offer valid at 2 Men and a Junk Truck, Champaign, Illinois.
At Pards in Urbana, the boots just keep on coming. They're known for their huge collection of men's cowboy boots, women's cowgirl boots, kids' boots, and even shoes. If you're searching for top footwear brands, look no further than Pards. They carry a wide variety, including Ariat, Dan Post, Smoky Mountain, Roper, Double H, and more. And if socks or accessories are what you need, they've got all your high-quality essentials. Since 1968, Pards has been serving their customers with high-quality merchandise. And if you haven't been to Pards in a while, a lot has changed. Go check them out just off University Avenue in Urbana.
Norm Miller here, chairman of Interstate Batteries. You know, without batteries, life would be pretty lifeless. That's why Interstate All Battery Centers carry them in every size, shape, and style, so you can drive, drill, call, film, or do whatever it is you want to do. Stop in today. They've got the power to keep you going. Interstate All Battery Center. Outrageously dependable.
Interstate All Battery Center. You'll find them outrageously dependable just over Interstate 74 at 2504 North Mattis Avenue in Champaign, with batteries for most every application in stock.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Is the plumbing in your home driving you crazy? From leaks to drips or remodels, Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing has you covered. Voted CU's #1 plumbing company, and there's a reason. Treating all customers like friends. Backed up sewers, clogged drains. Call today. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, 217-841-4728, or visit dogtownheatingandair.com. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend.
You mentioned lawnmowers. Can I buy a Dixie Chopper in January?
Oh yeah, there's still a couple of great, gently used, well taken care of. One of them was actually Gale's mower from last year that he used, that he's got in. It's got a couple hundred hours on it. It's really an excellent machine. It's like new. You're not going to find a more well-maintained.
I bet.
And of course, when he's wanting to get the most out of it, and he's not turning it up. You know, if something looks off on it, he's going to get it fixed, and we've maintained that and done well with it. So that's a great buy for somebody that's looking for a bigger, even a commercial guy, somebody that wants to get started in the business.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing to do right there. The warranty's still intact on it, so we're looking to move that. We've got a few new mowers in the shop and ready to go. Just talk to Andy at Dedicated Diesel, 1313 Triumph Drive in Urbana. You can give him a call at 217-328-0562.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Let's get to a couple of texts on the Max Twin City Recycling text line. Scott says the days of gross are long gone.
Oh, boy.
It's Final Four again this year. Underwood has done an unbelievable job in building a roster. Just win.
I want to ask you a question after this, and it's one I want you to think about for a second, and you can continue to read the. What is the difference between this year and last year's team? And what would the difference be in making another run? Even further. I mean, just not playing UConn would be.
Yeah.
I mean,
there isn't the monster that was UConn of the previous 2 years in this field. We'll see what Duke becomes ultimately.
Yeah.
And Auburn's really good too, so.
Well, you're going to play somebody good. Give me a matchup with Houston. I know somebody earlier had texted out on the Max Twin City Recycling text line that this team reminds them of Houston. And I assume he's talking about that Houston team from a couple of years ago that beat us when Goody was a freshman. R.J. Melendez, where are you at?
I know, right?
He'd actually
Mississippi State, I think.
He'd actually fit well probably on this team, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But that Houston team didn't really
make threes a little bit.
Yeah, right.
A little bit more.
I don't remember that Houston team being extremely great on offense, but defensively they would just smother you.
Yep.
Not as good as that Baylor team. They'll never be anybody as good as that Baylor. I still to this day, I'll remember that the rest of my life. You and I coming in that next day after watching Baylor, and I was like, oh boy, they're winning a national title.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's what people are thinking now about Illinois.
Man. Oh. Yeah, maybe some Oregon fans are like, let me get on my DraftKings and see what and get Illinois to win the title at.
I need to check in with Lucas about that out in Arizona to see. By the way, I've been on a roll lately.
Have you?
Yeah. Oh, we'll talk about that at the break. It's my bad.
Let me in on some of that.
Well, that just means
I know. I know.
Like
how,
I
you know
told
how
you
it
and
goes.
Trevor, I said that just means the favorites won.
Well, okay.
Lon loves those 16-game parlays where he's winning. He's got Iona to beat Marist. Because I know so much about both programs. I'm like, well, Iona's a 5.5-point favorite. I'm going them at home. Boom. There's no strategy to it, Derek.
It's all good.
It's all good.
I appreciate victories over everything. The results are what matters. And, I'll live vicariously through you.
The funniest thing about betting is I probably hit 90% of my parlays, but never 100, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
at the end of the day, a year later, my hit mark is like 89%. And you're like, wow, how much money did you win? Well, I actually lost 1,000 because there was always one game that lost in every parlay. It's like, dang it. All right, I interrupted you.
That's how it goes. Carmen says, I'm hoping for a Final Four trip to Indy, which wouldn't be, and I'm filling in the blank here, this wouldn't be this year, but next year. And that was something that Jeremy and I discussed after the game on our podcast last night. And it's something that it's been a storyline going back to the summer when you saw so many guys be added with multiple years of eligibility. Now, are we going to reach a point where we're no longer talking about how the eligibility factor gets there? We'll see. But just in general, like Kylan Boswell could come back. Benham Rickhouse now with the Diego Pavia ruling could come back.
From 3 weeks ago, everybody going, that's okay.
Yeah.
To now, it's like, oh, yeah.
I know, right? I know.
Hey, count me in that list.
Trey White could come back. Everybody but
goodness.
KJ, as of right now, might have, at the very least, a decent chance to come back. Of course, you'll have some natural attrition, like would Gary Booth want to look for somewhere else? A guy didn't check into garbage time last night. Ty Rodgers, is he going to be in a different uniform? I think that's kind of been the expectation ever since he redshirted.
Can I just hot take this right now? Yes.
Yeah.
And it's probably not that big of a hot take, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I was saying this morning to a buddy. Ty Rodgers, now that you know how Brad Underwood wants to play, and I feel like Brad has been searching and searching and searching and searching through the analytical, and I give analytics, I'm actually giving them kudos right now, Derek. You've said it 100 times. This is how Brad Underwood wants to play. He went out and recruited to a certain style of offense that he wants to run, and just magically, defensively, they're really good. Ty Rodgers does not fit in the kind of offense that Brad Underwood wants to run.
Correct.
There is not a spot out there for Ty Rodgers. I'm sorry. I love the fact that he's the biggest cheerleader, minus KJ last night, who, by the way, was wearing out Jeff Alexander. I mean,
is that right?
Now, first of all, KJ was standing most of the game.
I saw he was very active. I saw he was doing a lot of talking in the huddles or afterwards.
Oh, but when he sat, he was right in Jeff's ear, and Jeff just sat there with his hand on his chin, just nodding. Almost like, oh, my God. Yes, KJ, I saw that too. Yes. Yep. That's why we run that. That is correct. That's why we try to rebound like we do. Yep. That's why we wanted to go get Trey. I mean, you could just see KJ just brrr, and Jeff just sitting there nodding. It was so funny. But I loved it.
This is like my flights to Lithuania. I get next to a guy, a chatty dude, and I can't
even understand him, and he's just oh, it was funny though. It was hilarious watching it, man. And then of course I tweeted out about Tyler Underwood every time they would show him. He must go through 7 packs of gum a game, and it's just that's his nervous outlet, I guess, for that. But man,
is it on par with Pete Carroll?
It is better, I think.
Wow.
Because somebody actually tweeted back and said something to that effect of Pete Carroll, and I was like, yeah, it's at least tied. You're going to have to go back and watch the game.
That's a high rate.
I've
seen him get after it.
Oh, it's in the first half, just if you don't want to rewatch the entire game.
I think we went to, whether it was an open practice or something. My wife went one year because now it's crazy. They've been around for the Underwoods for, 8 years now. And she's like, he literally chews like a whole pack in an hour.
He should have been a Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
Where they just keep the gum right there on the bench, and you can just grab a piece whenever.
Like, I'm the guy that leaves in the same piece for like an hour or two, and that I know people frown upon that.
I frown on
probably
that.
Maybe more of like an outside, out of mind type of thing.
See, I'm the weird guy that buys the cheap, like, I'm throwing their name out, Dollar General, like the one round gum, like that literally lasts 5 seconds. But then I mix it with like a Big Red or a Juicy Fruit, and I'll get 2 or 3 in there and start blowing bubbles. Like then they last for about 20 minutes, and then it's gone. And then I do it all over again.
Perfect.
That's funny how we have different ways we chew gum.
How do you chew your gum? 217-359-2255.
Big Red right now, by the way, my favorite. I don't know why. I just like Big Red.
I like that.
Big Red.
My mom likes Big Red.
Yeah, there you go.
Carmen, to his point, though, it is a situation where, man, it'd be great if you could keep this team together a lot at its core. Will Riley, of course, has the upside and still a lot of time to show the NBA of what he's capable of. But as of right now, I know that we talked about this. It was on our website that people were sharing. ESPN, I think, came out with a new mock draft, and Will Riley was still like 19th.
Was he really?
Overall in the first round, which if the season ends today, I'd have a hard time believing he'd go at that position. And I think the feedback would be very clear. You could really use another year, and just the potential to boost your stock of showing consistency, a more defined body in terms of weight, and just more consistent shot making. I mean, he looks like a guy that was playing AAU ball 8 months ago.
I agree. He has a hard time finding his shot.
Right.
And there's times where, I mean, Penn State defenders were dominating him. And it's like, ooh, that's not a good look. But it's there, and he's the kind of guy that could splash 5 in a row if you needed. I mean, you imagine him getting hot one game and Benham Rickhouse on the other side getting hot, and then, oh, my gosh.
To that point, though, and I know we got some other people. We got 217. We're winning it all and the Big Ten,
Let's
baby.
go.
Illinois basketball is winning the NCAA title in football and basketball,
Oh, wow.
says Zach. So
Okay.
the hopium, as Jay Lehman says, is flowing quite well out there, which is great. I enjoy it while it's there.
Amen.
I had this thought, and it would probably take more than 5 minutes to break down, as we only have.
Well,
or
you
less.
got 5.
But are we trending toward where this team's at, where next year could be? Just the faith that you should have in Brad Underwood to year after year, even if you have to turn over a good portion of the roster to be a contender in the Big Ten and to be in the mix nationally too. Are we in that golden window of Illinois basketball again? Is this the 2020s like it was the early to mid 2000s or the 1980s? I know the one thing that is very clearly missing from this era versus those is the Final Four.
Yes.
Which you could have had one in 2020 to 21.
Yeah.
If you would have done what a one seed's supposed to do.
Right. I think last year you were a Final Four team. I really
got there.
I really do.
And it's just one thing that I was kind of looking through. Both of those eras, the early 2000s and also the 1980s, you had a stretch of, I think, 6 or 7 straight years where you were a 5 seed or better in the tournament.
Yep.
And right now you did have the Meyer year and Shannon where they were a 9 seed. But you're stacking up to have a great level of consistency where it might be, 3 years from now we're looking like 5 out of 6 years you're a top 4 seed. And you won a couple Big Ten titles, and maybe you did get to that Final Four. Like, it's possible, and I don't think I'm breaking any ground here, but this might be viewed in hindsight as one of those other golden windows for the program.
I think you're dead on. You're spot on. And I know Carp, our buddy Carp, always used to say, you remember the day, this is during the John Gross, right? And he would always say, you remember the days, Lon, when the season would start and you'd wonder if we were going to be a 3, 4, or a 5 seed. You didn't ever. There was never a question. You knew you were going to be one of those, and then all of a sudden, the Gross 10 years, with the end of Weber and John Gross, where you don't even make the tournament, and you just you sat there as lonely as can be on the seeding night on Sunday, going, well, we're not in it. Like where you used to actually fill out your own bracket as it was going, and then you just became like, you're like, I don't even know if I can watch it. Like, and I'm not watching One Shining Moment either because it just hurts too much. But
that's sad.
Yeah, right. And then now, yes, I'm with you. And really, I think you're a Final Four away from being in that special moment.
Yep.
And I think you said it best. And as great as next year would set up with it being in Indy. I mean, I get that. And what a dream that was in 04-05 when you did that run, right? You did Indy, Chicago, St. Louis. You couldn't ask for a better path. Everything was perfect that year except that stupid North Carolina. Those 2 misses by Luther and Darren that you're just like, give me that any day of the year and they're going to nail those. But it's one of those situations where you're setting up for something like that and you're thinking next year could be that. Why can't it be this year? Next year, you're not going to have KJ. This year, you've got a top 10 pick at least in the NBA draft. Why can't it be this year? I don't see the one dominant team, like you said, that UConn's been the last 2 years. I'm not saying Auburn's not really good. Alabama's already beat you. Tennessee beat you. But I don't think they're that much better than you compared to what UConn was last year. And it wasn't just UConn beating Illinois and going on that 30-0 run. So I know Bill's going to text in here in a minute and say, how do you even do that? UConn beat every team by 20 points. That's just a whole nother level of dominance.
Yep.
There's not that team, I don't think. I really don't.
Not that you've seen so far.
What I like is that Brad, now I'm the one going over here because Kyle's going to be like, I wanted you to talk about this, and I'm hogging the
set
mic.
it up with way too little time.
But what I love about it is what's the one conference that everybody considers the best in basketball? The SEC, right? Brad has challenged you now with 4 SEC teams. So now you've learned to play if they are the, quote, best, even though the net of the Big Ten, I saw something the other day, the net of the Big Ten combined is better than the net of the SEC. Now, I don't know what that means in terms of the bottom. But so I give Brad kudos to that, too. He's like, I'll play anybody. Get my team ready for March. And, boy, do they look ready.
They look ready, don't they?
Do we have to go through February?
Yeah, I think so.
Can we just
I can't
skip
wait
February?
for next week, man.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
Wilmington and East Lansing.
I love Zach thinking that if Illinois won a title in basketball and football in the same year, I would quit sports. Because you never get any better.
Right off in the sunset.
I'd be, of course,
Like,
after
what,
that Blues.
John Elway, he won back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah,
and like,
I'm done.
I'm done.
Of course, I don't want to take the hit he did with the helicopter
Yeah,
hit. I don't
right.
want that on the way out. Well, hell, I'll take that on the way out.
Pretty,
if we're gonna win.
pretty cool highlights. Of like,
I'll have somebody
I can't get out of this recliner today. Just turn on the highlight clip.
I'll have somebody meet me right here at the radio station, 2 guys, to drill me to where I'm helicoptering if Illinois wins the Big Ten, the NCAA basketball and football. I'll take one for the team.
You'd be doing some Bills Mafia stuff
Oh.
if Illinois
Fireball!
won 2 titles. Yeah.
We better get to break.
We
I'm
do.
sorry.
We will. Let's talk some college football playoff at some point and get some more of your thoughts. 217-359-2255. It is The Drive.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
That bill would require detention of illegal immigrants arrested for theft and burglary, named after a Georgia nursing student murdered by an immigrant who entered the U.S. illegally and is now in prison for life. America is listening to Fox News.
So this new dose is, nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
All 5 living U.S. presidents attending today's Washington funeral for former President Jimmy Carter, who was eulogized by President Biden.
Jimmy Carter's friendship taught me, and through his life taught me, the strength of character is more than title or the power we hold. It's the strength to understand that everyone should be treated with dignity, respect.
Stephen Ford read a eulogy written by his father, former President Gerald Ford, before he died in 2006. President-elect Trump sitting next to and chatting with former President Obama at the National Cathedral. A Biden administration effort to protect transgender students from discrimination is struck down by a federal judge in Kentucky, rejecting as fatally tainted an expansion of Title IX rules to include gender identity. Tennessee's Attorney General calling it a victory for protection of girls' privacy and the freedom to speak biologically accurate pronouns. Supporters of the rule hoped it would give LGBTQ students more recourse against discrimination. Oscar nominations are delayed, one of the many ripple effects from the wildfires.
The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has postponed the Oscar nominations to Sunday, January 19th in response to the wildfires devastating Los Angeles. Nomination voting, originally set to end Sunday, January 12th, has been extended 2 days. In an email to members Wednesday, AMPA's CEO Bill Kramer said the decision was made to accommodate those impacted by the fires. This marks the first time Oscar nominations will be announced on a Sunday. The change follows the American Film Institute, which postponed its AFI Awards luncheon, originally set for Friday, while the British Academy Awards canceled its Tea Party Saturday, and the Critics' Choice Awards, scheduled for Sunday, has been moved to January 26th.
Fox's Michelle Polino. I'm Lisa Brady. Fox News.
It is The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Been a fun show so far, breaking down a 91-52 victory.
I've been busy lately, Derek.
Yeah?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
No.
Doing shows because Kyle's gone?
Yeah, right. 4 in a row.
You have been working hard.
I feel like Tim Sinclair right now.
That's sure. On that note, let's get to the guy who was on the call last night at State Farm Center, Illinois PA announcer, also for the Bears. I'm sorry, Tim. And the Bulls. Tim Sinclair joining us on the Tapman's Towing phone line. How you doing, Tim? Thanks for joining us.
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Doing great.
Good, buddy. How was that doing the Bears games?
You know, I always say I've worked through some years for some teams, and that have been difficult and dry and all of that. But I always say I'm never going to have a bad time. Like, my job is always fun, and if I ever get to a day where it's not, something's wrong with me, because I feel like I'm one of the luckiest people ever. So obviously, winning is always better and more fun, but I never hang my ability to enjoy what I do on whether the team wins or loses. So I get to go to Soldier Field, 9, 10, 11 times a year, and in my first 40 years of life, I did that exactly 0 times.
Wow.
So I get to do it every game now, and so I love it.
Tim, have you been contacted about an interview for the head coaching job?
I just missed the cut, apparently. I was trying to get I was waiting for the email with the Zoom link, but I didn't ever see one. So
casting a wide net, apparently. But, I would have had your back.
Not quite this wide to the PA guy.
That's right. Well, you got a wide range, my friend, with all the games that you're doing. You're a busy man. How was it last night from your vantage point, what Illinois was able to do in that 39-point victory against the Nittany Lions?
I heard you guys talking earlier, and I think, internally I had some of the same concerns. Penn State has our number. Now Kasparis isn't playing. We're coming off this road trip to the West Coast, and are we feeling like ourselves and back in a routine and going to lay an egg? Just all those kind of concerns of what if, is this the one that's going to creep up on us? And for the first, 3-4 minutes of the game, it felt like, maybe it was. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't. And so it was a ton of fun, obviously. And I think, like you guys have been talking about, hopes are very, very high. I have absolutely nothing to do with the outcome of the game, but I do love getting to be a small part of the environment. And so, when the crowd's having a good time and the team's playing well, it just sort of elevates things for everybody.
I want to take Tim away from the PA job, and I want to talk to Tim, the fan of Illinois, for a long time. You have been around to see a lot of good Illinois teams. I don't say that like you're old. You're much younger than me. But what do you think of this team and the idea that, we saw it in 04-05. We've seen good teams a couple of years ago. I mean, heck, last year even, that really started gelling during the year. So what does fan Tim Sinclair think of this team and kind of a thought as to how far this team can? I'm not asking you to predict like Final Four or anything, but with what you watch, there's nobody has a better view than you and a better seat. What do you think of what Brad Underwood has been able to do with this new collection, essentially, of guys?
Well, I think you said it there at the end, like new collection. That at the beginning of the year and certainly during the off season was the question, right?
Sure.
From a talent perspective, I think we all were like, this could be, based on pure numbers coming out of high school or transfer or whatever, one of the most talented, if not the most talented team we've seen in a very long time. The question was, are they going to be able to play together? Mm-hmm. Are they going to gel? Is there going to be selfishness? Or are people just going to be looking for the NBA or the next level and not concentrating on team and more on self? Like all those questions. And, slowly but surely here, and maybe quicker than some expected, I think we're answering some of those, that they can do those things. And so to me, if that kind of trajectory continues, and Coach Underwood has seemed to do this as well as any, as the season goes on, they're playing their best basketball in late January and into February. I don't know exactly, but I feel like most years in the last 8 years, we've started with almost the exact same record.
Yeah,
it's been
right.
like 10-3 or 10-4 or, whatever it's been. And then, you win a Big Ten title or a Big Ten tournament championship or you get a 1 seed. And so this year, I feel like it's kind of on the same trajectory as those, but with potentially more talent across the board.
Agree.
Certainly deeper. When DGL comes off the bench and looks like he could be the starting point guard, you've got a deep team. So I'm incredibly excited. I, again, don't hang my enjoyment of the job on the quality of the team, but, man, it's certainly a lot of fun as a fan to be able to, even when you're not at the games, be talking and be excited about, what's to come.
Tim, you talked about the new pieces on this team. Have you gelled quicker with them? The Kasparis Jakachonis, the Tomislav Ivicic, you had to be rolling from night one. How did that one go for you?
Everybody asked me preseason, so how do you say so-and-so's name? How do you say so-and-so's name? And I always say, I don't know, and stop saying it out loud because I don't want to hear it wrong over and over and over again, because then every time I say it in the future, I have to correct myself in my head.
Yep.
And so I don't ever want my default to be the incorrect pronunciation. So I tried my best to not hear anyone say it, any of those names, and wait for them to tell me personally or for Derek Burson to tell me personally so that I get it right. But we've had some tough ones in the past. Georgi Bashashvili and Matisse Vasile, and the list is long of international names that have been somewhat difficult. I just in Chicago the other night we were playing San Antonio with the Bulls, and they have Sandro Mamukelashvili on the team, and I've heard that last name pronounced a million different ways, and I thought I had it right, but he happened to be sitting right there, and I was like, Sandro. It's like, I want to triple check that I had the name right. He goes, say it. And so I said, Sandro Mamukelashvili. And he was like, say it again. And I said it one more time. He's like, that's absolutely perfect. So
wow.
I try very, very hard to make sure I have them right, just because, one, that's my job, but two, the kids deserve that. It's their name. It should be right even if it's hard. So
nothing wrong with the Lante on occasion, though.
Oh, man. I do enjoy that every now and then, although I will say, Lon, when you have two one-syllable names, there's a whole lot less that I can do with it. Because all my emotion and excitement has to come out in inflection. And when there aren't syllables, sometimes that makes it really difficult. So.
That's a great point. I've never thought of that with regards to that. Hey, what is it like to do the PA when the students are gone compared to when they're there? How much different? I know it's not different for you. You're doing your job, but can you just tell, the electricity and such? And that's no knock on, the crowd was great last night with people like me sitting there, but what is that like to get those students back?
Oh, it is night and day different. And you're right, us grown adults do the best we can to be loud and obnoxious, but eventually we get tired and have to sit down and our throat gets sore and that kind of stuff. Students don't have that problem.
No.
They will be on their feet screaming whatever they want to scream for the full 40 minutes, and I love it. I love the interaction, on the three-point call. That, happened organically where they do the boom after I do the 3 points Illinois. And, Tim, how much time is left? And I say, 1 minute remains. All that is a whole lot of fun, and so I definitely notice when they're gone. And I do hate, that the Big Ten season in earnest gets started when students aren't there.
Right.
I just feel like it's really does a disservice to the environment, but everybody's in the same boat on that, and I'm definitely looking forward to having them back.
Tim Sinclair joining us on the Tapman's Towing phone line, the PA announcer for the Illini as well as the Bulls and the Chicago Bears. How cool is it that your paths have continued, you and Ayo Dosunmu? I know he's been out with a calf injury, but the success that he's had in his hometown and you getting to continue to deliver your rendition of Ayo, how fun has that been for you?
Yeah, we never imagined it, right? Coming out of college when he announced that he was leaving, I never even dreamed that he would be with the Bulls. In fact, his mom texted me right after he made that announcement. It's like, hey, can you record your Illinois 3-point call for Io. We just like to have it for, posterity. I was like, sure. So I did that and texted to her. And then a few months later, he gets drafted by the Bulls, and I've been doing it for 4 years. So it's been so much fun, and it's, on a mental side, sometimes I have to remember it's not Illinois, even though I've done more Bulls games and for a longer amount of time than I ever did with him at Illinois. Sometimes it's just nostalgia takes you there, right. And I would say checking in for, my brain says Illinois when it's the Bulls, so I've got to fix that on the fly. And it's just been fun to see him grow. I feel like he sort of embodies a work ethic that we got to see here, but you see even more on a professional level when that is their job and it's the only thing they're doing. He knows what he needs to work on each year, and he goes and he does it, and he comes back better, and then does it again. So it's been great. He's been a favorite of mine, obviously, since day one in Illinois, but that's only grown over the years.
On the note of the NBA, of course, Tim, a huge congratulations to you on yet another All-Star selection to be the PA announcer going out to San Francisco in February. Is this your third All-Star game for you?
So this will be my fifth All-Star weekend. I've done 2 All-Star games, and then this will be my 4th All-Star Saturday night. Nice. So I'll do the dunk contest, 3-point contest, all that kind of stuff. So, and that, for me, I'd love to do a finals because obviously that means the Bulls are in it.
No doubt.
But there is something special about the NBA calling and asking you to come do that because they have a lot of choices. So I'm incredibly lucky and thankful. I had somebody on Twitter the other day was like, the only people who have more All-Star selections as Bulls are Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And I was like, all right, now that feels like undue praise, but I'll take it, and looking forward to going back.
I did have a 217 shoot on the Max Twin City Recycling text line. Said, ask him about Derrick Rose, who, of course, is going to have his jersey retire.
That was cool.
How cool is that? Did you get to be part of when announcing him back for that next game and just the thought process of going forward and having what ceremonies will be in the mix for him?
Yeah, we did. I got to do the From Chicago as he walked into the arena at halftime, and that we do that for Io now, but it started with Derrick, and that was kind of the origins of that, and so it was fun to be a part of that. It obviously wasn't a jersey retirement at the time, although it will be next year at some point, and man, it was an electric atmosphere for sure. The team played well, but everybody was there to see Derrick, and Joakim Noah was back, and so I think the Bulls did a great job making that special. They wanted to focus on the people who helped him get to where he ended up, and then next year it's going to be more about him and his accomplishments and putting that number 1 in the rafters.
All right, Tim, I'm going to have you be a mentor here to a lot of people because through my years, I've been very fortunate to be in the media business for almost, I think it's literally 30 years, and I've had a lot of younger people that want to get into it ask me, what should I do? What should I do this? The PA, what would you tell people that maybe one day would dream of taking your spot, either at Illinois or at the Bears or at the Bulls or in an all-star game, et cetera? What do you tell or what would you tell them in terms of trying to get to where you're at now?
Yeah, there's a couple answers to that. One is more generic, and the other is more specific to public address. The generic answer I give people is you need 3 things. You need ability, availability, and humility.
Yeah.
Ability means be good at what you do. Work hard. Always try to get better. Availability, when you're asked to do a job, go do it. Means you have to sacrifice. You have to give up time. You have to give up money. Birthday parties or time with friends or whatever. You're going to have to say no to other things if this is going to be important to you. So when you get opportunities, take them. And then humility. As you guys know, there are some divas in our business, and nobody likes to work with someone who's difficult. So when you get an opportunity to work, be easy to work with.
Love it.
And those 3 things will take you a long way in any job, especially this one. But when it comes to PA, I guess I would say less is more. Your job is to reflect what the crowd is or should be feeling in any given moment. It's not about you. and read the room. Like, try to understand the situation. You can't be the same person the same way every time because situations aren't that way. Sometimes you're up 30, sometimes you're down 30, sometimes you hit a shot to win the game, sometimes they hit a shot to win the game. And if you're the same way in every single situation, people are just going to assume you're a paid actor, which I have no interest in being. Like, the team is not paying me to fake excitement to try to trick people into feeling something they shouldn't be feeling. I feel like my job is to reflect what they already are feeling. And so if you can do that, I think you'll ultimately go a long way.
I made a mention to Derek that my son had a game down in Olney earlier this year, a basketball game, and I had forgotten that was where Jim Turpin was from. And then, of course, we know how talented Brian Barnhart is. And then to also have Tim Sinclair in this area, how fortunate Illinois fans are to have, you talk about three extremely talented guys. And right now you can't ask for a better announcer than Brian Barnhart. And then to have you on the PA, considered the best, if you ask me, with regards to always getting the all-star nod, doing the Bears. I mean, Tim, I know it's a dream come true, I'm sure, for you. I truly appreciate what you said there about availability, because that would be one thing that would tear me apart. And I know I don't like missing anything with regards to my boys, and I know, unfortunately, you probably have to miss things. So a thank you to you for that, because you do some wonderful things for Illinois. So we're very lucky, Tim, to have you. And I know personally I've met you, and you're just a wonderful guy. And Chris from Paris said that you used to be a hell of a volleyball player, and you could spike the ball really hard in church leagues. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, so you're like all around here, Tim. Is there anything you can't do? Are you a bad golfer?
Yes, I'm a terrible golfer. So I appreciate that, and I will say, there's a balance when it comes to availability. One thing I've enjoyed about what I get to do is that it does afford my boys and I the ability to do things that most people don't get to do.
Right.
They've sat in the front row at All-Star games or close to it. They've sat on my lap in press boxes at matches. They were at the Derrick Rose ceremony. We get to meet. They got pictures with Steph Curry, et cetera. So I do try to make sure that even though I do have to miss some things sometimes, that we get to share some pretty special times together that nobody else gets to. So there's trade-offs, but I appreciate those words. Thank you.
Great stuff, Tim. We appreciate the time. We know you're busy, and great stuff. Congrats on all your success, and I'll echo Lon's words. You're a great dude, and appreciate the opportunity to be around you at games.
Of course, likewise. And I'm heading to Chicago now. Got a Bulls game tomorrow night, but then I'll be back for the 11 a.m. start on Saturday for Illinois. So we'll see you then.
Thanks,
Tim.
Tim.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
That's
Tim
crazy.
Sinclair on the Tapman's Towing phone line.
Bulls game tomorrow, Illinois game Saturday, Bulls game Sunday. How's that for a week? Think about that real quick. You think you want to be a PA guy, right? You want to be one of the best, if not the best.
Sure.
So here's what I need you to do. Because of the snow tomorrow, I need you to drive now to Chicago. So you're leaving your family. You're going to go spend the night in Chicago, I assume, unless his family's going. You're going to you're going to do the Bulls game tomorrow after a whole day in Chicago of sitting. Then you're going to drive back to do the Illinois game early 11 a.m. on Saturday. And then you're going to drive back Sunday to Chicago to do the Bulls game. Is that what you want to do? I mean, that is just, but like he said, I loved his answer there as to what you would tell somebody that would be interested in PA. The other thing is you got to have a damn good voice.
No doubt.
And he's got it.
He does.
I mean, come on. So when he says, the ability to, and he works hard, and I don't doubt that at all. I'm sure, Tim, I mean, you've got to know, how many names do you have to know, even in the NFL? Think about, you got to know the Detroit Lions roster through and through. So he's just like, Joe Buck or whoever that does play-by-play. He's got to know every guy on that team in case this one particular dude gets a tackle on special teams. He's got to know that. He's got to know how to say it. He's got to know it. You talk about just the homework there, but you also have to have a gift, and he's got the gift with his voice, and it's really, really awesome. And really think about that. Brian Barnhart, Tolono, Tim Sinclair, Muhammad. I mean, can we be any more fortunate? Derek Piper.
Don't do that.
Centennial. Yeah, baby. Jay Lehman, Centennial. Wait, was he Centennial?
Central.
Central. Oh, gosh. Sorry, Jay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jay.
Lauren Tate Monticello,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, goodness sakes.
Don't put me in there. I'm not worthy.
I think it's awesome. We're very fortunate around this area. We've got a lot of talent. A lot of talent that does these kind of things, and we probably take it for granted as Illinois fans. But Tim Sinclair is your PA guy, and by the way, he's doing the All-Star game for the NBA.
Yeah, that tells you.
Like, by the way,
I will. No knock on other people that do it, but when you go to other games, and I am fortunate to go to a lot of different arenas, you notice a difference.
I bet.
In a lot of cases, and you appreciate what Tim has done in the delivery.
Yes,
and just he's just great at it.
One of the best guys I ever heard was one of the most simple, and he was funny. Like he had humor in it, and I don't know who it was. It was an NCAA tournament back in like '95. I think it was when SIU played. SIU played Duke in Chicago. Got smoked by Duke in Chicago in round 1 of the NCAA tournament. Actually, that was '93. Sorry. It was March of '93. And the guy that was doing the PA would do things like, he would say something like, that foul will lead to a 1-and-1 or something. He'd do something funny. I don't even know how he did it. Or the 1 and the bonus. And it was just little things like that each guy's got their own, and gal has their own way that they do things. But that guy was one that stood out to me because he was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think Tim's got that.
He does.
During the timeouts when they do the interactive stuff with the videos, like trying to name the different kinds of pasta versus an Illinois player, and like the different things that they do, and he's got quick wit.
He does.
And appreciate that about him. Corey says Lante Camargo.
Oh,
yeah. Let's put him in there.
Yeah, Camargo, Illinois, baby. Camargo. Thank you, Corey. 30 years I've been doing media.
That's crazy. When
great,
you said
isn't
that,
it?
I was like, wow.
Yeah, because I counted that one day because I started my senior year of high school, 1988. And I've essentially, except for 4 years, I think, I don't know, the math would have to work out. When I only did insurance, I've basically done either television and even those, there was one year where I filled in at Channel 15 because Mike Cleff was on vacation or something. He called me and said, man, I got to take this vacation. I got nobody to do the sports. Can you do it for a week? And I'm like, well, is it like riding a bike? So I did it. It was fun to kind of do. But yeah, when you think about it, 30 years I've been doing this, which is crazy. I've never really expanded too far from home, essentially, with that. But and I was always a dream to work, somewhere ESPN when I was young. I mean, ESPN's changed so much. We know that. I won't get into that. But like that was back with Chris Berman, Dan Patrick, Stuart Scott with the Booyah. I mean, that was like
the heyday of SportsCenter.
The heyday. And I always get I laugh now about how little I know about sports. And back then, if I didn't have class till 11, I would watch SportsCenter at 8, 9, and 10. And it'd be the same SportsCenter.
Yep.
And I would always sit there. My roommate used to laugh because I'd be like, fade to blue. And they'd go to blue, and then you'd hear the SportsCenter song come on, and then I'd sit there and listen to – and back then I knew who the backup goalie was for the Ottawa Senators, and you're just like, why do you need to know that? Because, honestly, it never came in like that. It's kind of like geometry. I've never needed to know geometry. But, yeah, it's funny that I've done that for that long. But it's been fun, and, of course, Stevie J gave me a chance here, and it's been a wonderful ride. And so, yeah. I mean, when you do something you love – although I do show marks of maybe not loving it as much anymore.
Nah. You're the vet now, man.
Yeah, right. I'm the Ace Baldwin. Hey, boy. What do I always say? What's my...
Hey, boys.
Yeah, hey, boys. ...
Bad
news. The back doesn't feel well today.
Yeah.
I'm sitting this one out.
Or he's the Mick Cronin. I've won 500 games. I don't owe you guys anything.
I've done 500
I don't got to be here.
I'm 54. It'd be amazing to think how many shows I've done.
Right.
It'd be kind of cool to go back. I remember when I first started doing this, and it's always been cool to me. I've never taken it for granted, but I remember, and I don't mean to make this about me, I remember thinking to myself, I'd love to be able to have a recording or two that my boys could hear one day, right, of me doing this. And now they're both so old now, they don't even listen, right? They've gone from, oh, that's cool, my dad's on the radio, to, are you on the show again today, or can you go buy me a car? That's where we're at now. It's the appreciation is just so, the love is just great.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like, it would be cool. You think in your mind of I'm gonna put some show clips in like a CD.
Yes, I would love to hear my dad right now.
Oh yeah,
I'm being dead serious, and I know times have changed a little bit, but I remember I would call my dad's cell phone just to hear his voice after he passed away. And the idea that now my boys can essentially just get on any kind of platform and probably listen to a show I did.
True.
Which is cool. But like now I think about like my grandkids.
No doubt.
I mean, hopefully I'm around for a lot of it, but you know, when they get to a certain age to say, hey, Grandpa used to do a radio show, you know, and it'd be kind of cool for them to be able to hear that, you know, to something like that. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it is funny about stuff like that. Like I still have videos of my dad, you know, when home videos and stuff, and it's cool to see, and my brother as well. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing how I used to call my dad's cell phone just to, I bet a lot of people do that just to hear his voice.
I bet. My grandpa recorded a Fishing 101 tape.
Did he
on
really?
VHS.
See, now I'd start crying.
I know, right? I haven't watched it in
my.
20 years probably.
Oh.
And it's funny because I can remember it. One of the parts is like somebody rings the doorbell in the middle of it, and he's like, oh,
oh, that's Grandpa.
Yeah, right. Probably not as ease of editing back then, but
oh my God, I want to see that.
I know. I need to. My mom needs to put it up from. We need to get it from VHS onto like a flash drive. Or
I would sit down in your living room and start crying.
Probably,
and I'd be like, "This isn't even my grandpa."
Yeah, I know, right?
But I would understand what it means.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool that he did that.
Yeah.
I want to see that moment when the doorbell rang.
I know.
Oh my gosh, Grandpa Piper just unleashing.
Pretty great. Man.
Who the hell's at the door?
Yeah. All times.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
That was before Amazon. Like,
oh my god,
who the hell is this?
Right.
Yeah.
Who's bothering me on a Saturday? Fishing 101 with Grandpa.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Sir, do you have any interest in Peacock?
I wouldn't want to know his answer.
This is 1998. What are you talking about?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Oh, man.
Anyways,
that's
all right.
awesome.
Good stuff with Tim Sinclair. We are due for a break. Let's hear from a little bit of Brad Underwood last night before we get out of here. Some thoughts on Notre Dame and Penn State tonight, college football playoff. We'll do that. This is The Drive.
Well, let's ask you about Gale Ferrex Trucking. What's happening to start 2025, sir?
Well, it's been busy. Of course, we have the weather challenges, but we're getting through all of that. Our drivers have been safe, and they're all professionals. We go into this time of year, and it's a lot like college football. This is the year that things change a lot, and we had to make a couple of adjustments to make our team stronger. And, you know, it's funny when you talk about those things, somebody knows that you're talking about him, so he made that decision easy. And then we had a guy enter the transfer portal. A good driver. He wanted something different, so he went to a team in Texas to work for. So
well, you've got a good bunch of guys, and you treat them like family, and they're home on the weekends, and that's what's made you so successful, Tim, no question. Listen, thank you, Tim Onstadt. You're the man. How can people connect with you?
They can get me at timo@gftlog.com. My office number is 765-793-7131.
At Pards in Urbana, the boots just keep on coming. They're known for their huge collection of men's cowboy boots, women's cowgirl boots, kids' boots, and even shoes. If you're searching for top footwear brands, look no further than Pards. They carry a wide variety, including Ariat, Dan Post, Smoky Mountain, Roper, Double H, and more. And if socks or accessories are what you need, they've got all your high-quality essentials. Since 1968, Pards has been serving their customers with high-quality merchandise. And if you haven't been to Pards in a while, a lot has changed. Go check them out just off University Avenue in Urbana.
Not every remodel project is as easy as the couple on the Home Improvement Channel make it look. From old furniture to construction debris, a home remodel can quickly turn into a junk pile. 2 Men in a Junk Truck is here to make your home improvement dreams a reality. They offer hassle-free junk removal and dumpster rentals to clear the way for your next big project.
Perfect.
Use code REMODEL25 to save $25 on your next service. 2 Men in a Junk Truck, making your home improvement journey a breeze. Visit 2meninajuncktruck.com. Offer valid at 2 Men in a Junk Truck, Champaign, Illinois.
Actually, I called a provider. It was just going to be a while before I could have service, and I couldn't wait, so I was recommended too classic. Professionalism, their dependability, credibility, and the service technicians, I wouldn't ever call anybody else.
I truly believe that after people have experienced other companies and then given us a try, they can clearly see the difference.
Visit ClassicPlum.com.
Good morning, First Federal Savings Bank. How may I direct your call?
Speak with friendly, real people during lobby hours. It matters when you call First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana. A real person located at the bank, not a recording, answers your call during lobby hours. Personal, friendly service makes a difference. 217-356-BANK.
Thank you for calling. Have a great day.
Rated 5-star superior by Bauer Financial, Inc. Fast, friendly, and local with local loan decisions and underwriting. If you're not already banking with us, give us a try. We think you'll love it here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. NMLS 435120.
You mentioned lawnmowers. Can I buy a Dixie chopper in January?
Oh yeah, there's still a couple of great, gently used, well taken care of. One of them was actually Gail's mower from last year that he used, that he's got in. It's got a couple hundred hours on it. It's really an excellent machine. It's like new. You're not going to find a more well maintained.
I bet.
And of course, when he's wanting to get the most out of it, and he's not turning it up. You know, if something looks off on it, he's going to get it fixed, and we've maintained that and done well with it. So that's a great buy for somebody that's looking for a bigger, even a commercial guy, somebody that wants to get started in the business.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing to do right there. The warranty's still intact on it, so we're looking to move that. We've got a few new mowers in the shop and ready to go. Just talk to Andy at Dedicated Diesel, 1313 Triumph Drive in Urbana. You can give him a call at 217-328-0562.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. We'll get you some Brad Underwood coming up. But first, let's tell you about an opportunity to get some tickets for Saturday's game against USC at the State Farm Center. Express Employment Professionals, your link to top talent and recruitment opportunities. Details at expresspros.com, giving you a chance to win tickets for Illinois men's basketball against Eric Musselman's USC squad.
The Trojans.
Coming to town on Saturday, 11 a.m. tip. Text Illini to 217-359-2255. Also, as they do for every home Illini game, take the free shuttle from Pia's a half hour before tip-off, dropping you off at the State Farm Center Front Circle Drive. They'll pick you up right after the game, take you back to Pia's Sports Bar and Grill, of course, West Springfield Avenue.
That sounds good right now. One of those big beers with those Cajun fries they make.
Oh, yeah. We had those one time.
That sounds good right now. Road trip?
Should.
I mean, we're off at 5. We'll be there by 5:30. Yeah. Okay, I'll meet you there.
All right. Good deal. Good deal.
That does sound good, though. Wow.
You think Jeremy would have a problem if I show up on the shuttle bus?
No.
I don't. 30 minutes before tip.
No.
And where have you been?
I'm doing a story of the fans.
Oh. There, you might be onto something there.
Yeah. I think it would
maybe
be
one game.
I think it would be cool for you, maybe not to drink before the game.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't think
you're right. I guess I'll give that up.
I'm guessing
not that I said give it up like I have been doing it. Yeah, New Year's and resolutions and things.
I probably ought to quit showing up drunk to these Illinois games. That was funny the way you. Yeah, I'll give that up.
I've been on the beat for 10 years now. I probably should grow up a little bit.
Everybody's like, man, he really hides that well. He always seems sober to me. It would be kind of cool to immerse yourself in I don't know, like what's a home game coming up that would be cool? To immerse yourself with the Orange Crush.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
That would be I would love to read an article like that. Like to, just all the different things. Or maybe it's been done. Maybe that kind of a story has been done before. But I think that would be so cool.
Other home games, let's see, later this month, you got Maryland coming to town, Northwestern, early in February, Ohio State, maybe later in the year. Now, I think especially, selfishly, if I'm going to be like, I got to go through the whole, like, waiting in line with them type of thing, maybe it would be hard not to look at, like, the home finale, the regular season finale against Purdue, or February 25th against Iowa.
I was going to say, do we have Iowa?
Yep. Michigan State's on there mid-February, UCLA mid-February.
Of course, it's going to be negative 30.
Of course.
I don't know that you really want to do that outside.
Probably don't, no.
I think that'd be kind of a cool. I think we ought to have people.
I've been there before. I've done that in my younger years.
I was going to say, you've been in there. Yeah. I would love to have people just text in like a story idea that they'd love to, something they'd always wanted to.
That's a good idea, actually.
It is, because there might be something that, we can't think of everything. I can remember when I worked in television that I would sit there sometimes with my sports director and always try to think of, like, what's an angle we haven't done? We do high school football all the time, and that's great, don't get me wrong, but what's an angle? How about the PA guy that's been there for 30 years, or the guy that's run the scoreboard at, Central A&M, let's say, for 35 or 40 years? Like, just a different kind of story that would take people behind the scenes and not just the same old, hey, Central A&M 6-0, and here's your quarterback, and here's your running back, and here's some video of them blocking in practice. It's like, how about something different? So I bet you'd be surprised how people might have a story idea that would be kind of cool to of course, Joey Wagner would be all over that, wouldn't he?
He likes to do
He
those,
loves those kind. Yeah.
Yep. He might not be as up for the Orange Crush line.
No, I don't blame him.
But I could take that.
I don't blame him. Speaking of me working too much, Joey Wagner is going to be in for me tomorrow.
There you go.
And truly, I feel like, okay, let me say this correctly, because I don't want Joey to get too big of a head here. Most of the time, you still want me here, right? I mean, look, Joey, you can't hold your own against me. However, I'm kidding, Joey. How perfect of a time to have him. He was down at the Citrus Bowl.
Yep.
He covers the Illinois women's basketball team, so you guys can dive a little bit deeper into that.
Yep.
And, of course, the SIU, where'd that come from? The Illinois men's basketball.
No doubt.
So I think it's going to be a fun show for you two tomorrow to do that. So Andrew plays at Effingham, and with the snow and everything, I just want to get a little bit quicker start.
Don't blame you.
So I am going to call that. I've done 80% of the shows this week.
That's a big deal.
I'm running on fumes right now.
It's a big deal for you.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I feel like this is maybe if the Cardinals, the Albert Pujols season, which was great, his final one, if they ran that 2 more years, like that last year, like he's still got it. He's still very talented. You don't want him playing every day, do you? We don't need to burn him out. We're going to save him for the playoffs.
No, exactly.
And, pick and choose.
Yeah. Let Tay miss 3 games or 3 days in a row and then come in fresh with ideas.
That's right. That's right.
No, I'm all about that. I'm all about it.
Speaking of ideas.
Yes.
One thing that Jeff Alexander's been pitching to me and Scott Ritchie of the News Gazette is one of you guys needs to come with me on one of my international trips. For a story. Now, that would be an expensive one for fitting that bill in terms of travel and everything.
Be awesome.
How sweet would that be?
All pipes. Number 1, it'd be awesome for you.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Number 2, though, how insightful would that be? That would be fun, because I always said I don't understand how Brett Bielema goes out and finds the linebacker they need. Like, how did he go to – who was the line? Andy Boo. How did he go to Utah? Or how did he find that kid from Utah, the kid, the Easton Baker? I'm like, how in the world did that even develop? Now, things work out like Brett Bielema with Josh McCray, that in terms of a coach that he knew from Wisconsin, and that you never burn a bridge, as they say, because you never know who you could use next. But then I look at it like, okay, now Jeff Alexander's recruiting the world. Now, how in the world do you do that? Like, how? So, and I understand that they have, different leagues, and there's certain, obviously with the internet now and stuff, you can do a lot of wonderful things. But to me, it's like, you had a story about a week ago about 3 international prospects Illinois was looking at, and I was reading through those, and I'm like, how do we know that this dude is available, or how do they even know about this dude? And so I think that would be an unbelievable story to just kind of go behind the scenes and how Jeff goes about navigating that stuff. Like, it'd be incredible.
Where you're going to find out.
Yeah.
You'd have to do some digging and figure out what's available to to sit in on, but
Yeah.
you got like some meeting with agents and those type of things. Some of these pro teams
Mm-hmm.
want to keep these guys, want to be competitive against college. Maybe they understand that we're not going to pay $1 million for
Right.
whatever that is in euros or whatnot, local currency to keep these guys here and understanding the pursuit of trying to get the NBA, maybe go to the college scene and that increases your exposure and whatnot. But yeah, just the navigating, the logistics of the travel.
Agree.
Setting the scene of what that looks like and just how big Europe now is for roster building. And I mean, I still shake my head. The fact that KJ is looked at as a top 5 draft pick.
That's unreal.
As an 18-year-old freshman from Lithuania who would never be here without NIL.
No.
And that's sitting there in Champaign right now.
It's crazy. You know when you, like they always say, a drip makes a wave, in water. I'd love to know the start of, like, KJ's that good, right? Like Tommy. The day that started. When was the first time Tommy Ivicic name came up in the basketball circles at Illinois? Was it Jeff Alexander? Was it Brad Underwood saying, hey, we're going to need a big man, and I'd prefer somebody that can shoot a three but also guard the rim and protect the rim? And then Jeff Alexander say, hey, there's this dude in Croatia. Like, how the hell do you know that?
It was Antigua. His brother played at
see,
Kentucky.
There's always a story behind it. Well, yeah, exactly. And that one, maybe that one would be too easy then. But, like, just how does that even start and get to the point of, okay, he's signing with us now?
Yep.
I mean, it would be a really neat story. That would be an amazing thing to go overseas.
It would.
That would be really cool. Yeah, you want to go in 27 to Ireland with the Ryder Cup?
That'd be sweet.
I am going to go there. I need that time off, by the way, just to...
We'll pencil that down. I think we already crossed off all of 27 anyway.
Say, I don't know.
If we're being real with ourselves. I don't know if I should have said that. But,
Well, nothing's been announced.
You could surprise.
Like Scott Hamilton. I saw Scott. By the way, congrats to Unity head coach Scott Hamilton on his retirement. I happened to see Scott on a Friday night. A bunch of us were up at I always say Stone Creek, Oski's now, right? So we were up there eating and having a few, and I see Scott and his wife, and I'm like, Scott, aren't you like 9? You're like 8 wins away from 300. I was like, you're gonna come back, right, for that? And he kind of gave me this look, funny look, and I'm like, oh, come on, now come on. Yeah, and so we were laughing about that. And then the next night, I go over here to the Philo Tavern, and he's in there with a bunch of coaches and friends, and I just stared at him. I'm like, okay, hold on. I'm digging into this. And then all of a sudden it comes out that, literally one of the more successful coaches. I know he's going to be on with Diane in the morning, and I'm not sure if Stevie will be here. I know he's missed some shows this week, but Scott Hamilton will be on with Diane for sure tomorrow morning, so make sure what time is that, Diane? 7:22. Okay, Stevie is calling in from home. So there you got 7:22. That's how precise we are on the radio on some shows. We're not quite
Exactly.
We're not quite like that. But so Scott Hamilton tomorrow, but yeah, I mean, congrats to him.
That just reminded me of sorry to talk
No,
over
I was done.
Is it Step Brothers or Wedding Crashers? Mom, the meatloaf. We want it. But yeah, congrats sorry to make light of a very genuine congratulations.
No.
He deserves.
Hey,
but,
listen, Scott would love that. He'd
yeah.
laugh at that right now. So yeah, what a career for him, and a great administrator as well, athletic director, all of that. I mean,
great
Unity
investigative reporting by you too.
Right. It just shows you if you go drink beer in the right spots, you can dig up some stories.
There's a lot to that.
I spent a lot of money those 2 nights trying to dig that story up.
I've gotten some scoops in some bars for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Correct. All right, real quick. I know you want to play Brad, right?
A little bit of Brad, yep.
I'm staring right now at Penn State versus Notre Dame. What are you feeling tonight? Are you wanting an all Big Ten matchup between Penn State and Ohio State? I don't want Ohio State there. I'm sorry. They've won enough.
That's fair. Yeah.
Who are they playing? Texas?
Texas.
And that's in the what bowl? Or where are they at?
See, is the Cotton Bowl, Diane
okay.
says.
Nice.
Appreciate that.
Nice.
I think it's the Orange Bowl tonight.
Yep.
And Ohio State, Penn State, now it would be hilarious to think what's going through the minds of SEC fans. The beat my chest. How dare Indiana think they deserve to be in Illinois, and how they were thought going into that Citrus Bowl against South Carolina. They couldn't be in the tiers of South Carolina and Ole Miss and Alabama and all this. Like, to just shove a Big Ten title.
And not one SEC team still alive.
Yeah. Well, Texas right now, but yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is right. Duh.
If they get beat.
Yeah, right, if they get beat.
That would be something there. But in terms of intrigue, I do like seeing something different.
Yeah.
Whether it is – I'm not a big fan of Notre Dame.
I'm not either. I'll take a Texas-Penn State. That would not move the dial, though, would it?
I think it's solid.
Would it? Okay.
Solid.
I'd be okay with a Texas-Penn State game.
I'm down with that.
I'd be all right with that.
It is interesting, isn't it, that James Franklin's reputation has kind of gone from very good but not good enough to win the huge games, just on the cusp of making the playoff. Obviously now an expanded playoff. Could he find himself in a national championship game? Obviously he's one step away from it.
Because isn't he like 1-4? What's the stat? He's like 1-14.
Something crazy against top five teams or top 10 teams.
So all of a sudden to find himself in a natty, and to think that Illinois they lost 21-7.
I know.
To that team.
I know.
And could have taken a lead at halftime if they don't fumble the snap, if they're not shotgun at the 2 or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I know. Listen, that you can't base it just on then we should be in the Final Four, right? But still, I mean, it shows you that Illinois is not that far away.
Correct.
So
I think I lean towards Penn State tonight. I think a close game. I don't know why I always say if I had to pick it. Like, you're on a sports show. We're giving predictions. We're giving opinions. Like, just pick it. Just say who you think's going to win.
You don't have to.
I think Penn State will win. I think they've got more weapons that they can hurt you with offensively.
Agreed.
I think Notre Dame wants to run the ball, and if they can't, they're up against it a little bit.
Well, the 2 running backs, Warren, their quarterback's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And then you've got Abdul Carter on the other side.
He's going to play for Penn State.
I think Penn State has the horses to get it done tonight, at least, to get to that championship game. Did Penn State and Ohio State play this year?
They did.
And Ohio State won.
Ohio State won, yep.
Was it easy?
It was a lower
scoring
scoring
pretty good
game,
wasn't
right?
it? Yeah. If I remember that correctly, it was a halfway decent game. So
it was like a 2-touchdown win for Ohio State.
It'd be okay. I'd be okay with I don't want to see Ohio State, though, win it. I don't.
I'm with you on that.
I've never.
It was 20-13.
2013, okay. Through all my years, I've always hated Michigan more, still do. But lately, I'm just tired of Ohio State. I'm just tired of them. It'd be great next year. How about this? How about 2 years in a row you beat Michigan at home, and the next year you beat Ohio State at home? How fun would that be?
That would be insane.
And you make the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Let's go. Whew. Sign me up for that one. Can we rededicate the 101st year since Red Grange? Can we start working on that?
That would be pretty incredible.
Is there an Ohio State moment that happened that we can like 15 years ago today? Eddie George ran for 900 yards against Illinois. Jeez.
No. Let's not do that
Let's
one.
don't do that one. Archie Griffin, right? Archie Griffin? Was he a 2-time Heisman?
Yeah.
Am I saying that last name right?
Griffin versus Griffith. Yes.
Yeah, Griffin.
N, yep.
Yeah. All right, sorry.
Real quick, though, now that we're just going down this path of football, did you see that James Franklin, what he had to say about Notre Dame should be in a conference?
No.
So he had a joint press conference with
I saw
Marcus
that.
Freeman and James Franklin, and I give him credit for giving his honest opinion.
Amen.
Said, I feel like we need some uniformity across college football, and to do so, in my opinion, everyone should be in a conference, which
I like.
Everyone needs to be playing conference championship weekend that have qualified for it. It's an advantage, can be deemed an advantage that, like, Penn State had to play Oregon while Notre Dame got to go rest for like a month.
Right.
Another thing, Notre Dame, although they protect a lot of the games on their schedule, like they're going to play the service academies every year, but they can scheme based on being an independent. They can scheme their schedule however they want to. They're always going to keep USC.
Yes.
Some of those games. But we just saw this year Indiana caught a major break. Why couldn't Notre Dame, if they wanted to, give themselves an Indiana schedule every single year?
That is a wonderful point. I mean, they play Purdue every year. Well, hello. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Well, I'm glad James Franklin said that. What did
Marcus Freeman gave a very political, he's like, I'm just of the opinion that whatever we're going to do, just tell us what the structure is and we'll go do it. So I like that he didn't fight back on it. Now, some of the, which Franklin acknowledged, some of Notre Dame's arguments is for tradition and it's part of our brand and blah, 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 blah. But traditions have gotten ruined a lot in this evolving world of college football. Why is Notre Dame the one team that gets to keep theirs?
Right. I mean, you got Texas and Oklahoma now in the SEC.
Yeah.
Whoever dreamt of that?
Exactly.
So, no, I'm with you on that. And I've never thought, to your point, I've never thought about Notre Dame being able to essentially structure their schedule each year. I'm sure it's 2-3 years in advance.
Sure.
Right? Or maybe 2 or whatever, but still, to the point. That's interesting. I mean, who do they always play Stanford, right? Stanford's not that good. Purdue's horrible. The service, the Air Force.
They played Army and Navy, who are two of their better
really
opponents this year. To their credit, they went on the road and beat A&M in the first week of the season, which is a big win.
But still, I'm anxious to see what the College Football Playoff Committee does.
You've got to add more weight to the quality of win.
Amen.
Versus the number of loss.
Amen.
It's like Gonzaga in basketball, where they're going to play in. Sometimes it plays out. They're playing in like the YMCA for 3 months.
Right. That's why they have 26 wins going into every NCAA tournament.
But they are incentivized based on the quad system and the quality of win that you need to schedule like 4 or 5 big boys in your non-con.
Yep.
To be in position to be a potential 1, 2, or 3 seed. Otherwise, no one cares if you have 30 quad 3 wins, or whatever it is. Like, you got to have real victories that stand up against people, even at the expense of losing 1 or 2 of them.
Exactly.
That's what I want to see in college football.
That's the goal now for the committee, to organize something like the quad system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you're going to have Illinois playing Duke. In 2 years, Illinois plays Duke and Missouri. So they're essentially, when there was always one tough non-con like Kansas and you had 2 easy wins, now you're going to have 2 tough games and then 1 easy win, but yet it might work out better for Illinois because even if Missouri was Missouri this year, losing to them wouldn't be a bad loss.
Right.
So,
but it would be one where it played out this year. If you have 3 losses, you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
So, if you played Missouri, like this year's Missouri, and drew Ohio State, you would pretty much say, we're going to lose those games.
Right.
And then we can't lose the rest of our
schedule. We got to run the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's hard to do.
I'm not saying that a lot of other teams aren't in that same circumstance where they'll have a couple of tough games, then the rest is winnable, but you can't slip up.
No.
But I just don't like the thought of it's plugged in kind of the idea you should be scared to play tough people because you're hurting the loss math.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I'm with you. No, I'm with you on that. Yeah. No, I'm with you. Hey, can I say one thing about our Long Branch winners?
Let's do so.
Sorry,
Brad, you don't get to get to play. Brad. No, it's all good.
Sorry about
he
that.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, I was gonna say. He's probably sitting in his car in his driveway. He's like, I can't go in until they play my clips. And he's like, I'm not going to go in until he's late for dinner. And his wife is like, where are you? And he's like, I'm in the driveway. I'll explain in a minute. But no, so I emailed out our 15 winners today. So if you got an email for me, obviously you're going. The one thing I forgot to add in that is that, and I saw this is kind of funny, Ryan wins, and he's like, can I bring Drew White? No, you can't. So you can't bring anybody. Does that make sense? And the only reason is because Donnie is closed that night, and he's only preparing for